live streamed before, but just because I'm crazy, I'm gonna do it while driving, reading the GPS in a massive rainstorm. There we go. I've actually got a brutal weekend. Oh, well, not really a weekend. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I have 3 weddings in a row. So this is going to be a brutal week. And the first one is down in Nowra, which is 2.5 hours from me, from Ride. Let's hope I don't crash while doing this vlog. I've never done this before, so hopefully you can hear me all right. Now, I'm with a good service provider. I'm with Telstra. But even considering that, like, we might drive through cells and it may drop out. But, you know, YOLO. Let's do a YOLO live stream. So, hey, Rashad, what's up, bro? I can see text. You're used to this. I'm not used to live streaming, eh? I wish I could hear you. Do you want to jump on? Anyway, yeah, don't crash. It's ridiculously raining. It's shit, isn't it? We have predicted like flood. We're going to break flood historical barriers today and over the weekend. 800 meters, I've got to turn left. I can do this. I won't crash. It's all right. So basically, I'm doing a live stream because I wanted to vlog about some wedding stuff, and I'm too lazy to edit because I'm too busy. So I'm just going to do a live stream and let it be what it is. And for the people watching this later, what I wanted to chat about is switching from a photography wedding related job to filming. So if you're a photographer and you're going to film your first wedding, and then vice versa, if you're going to be like me, for example, mainly filming weddings. There's a guy at my house. I'm going to change lanes. And you're going to photograph your first few weddings and how best to approach that. So it's going to be pretty quick. Because like I said, never done this before. I don't want to crash. So, been doing a few weddings, right? And I meet a different photographer every week. And since I've been doing this for a while, like 9 years or so, I'm pretty good, I can say that, without being too embarrassed. So I'm meeting good photographers, right? And it's interesting hearing their thoughts about video. I'll ask them, hey, have you ever done a video of a wedding before? And most of them no, but some of them will say, yeah, actually I did my first one last month. It was for somebody else, and I think I did really well, but when I handed in the footage, that main videographer said, oh, yeah, thanks, man, but there's no movement, there's not much movement in your video. And I'm listening to this guy say all this, and I know exactly the kind of person he would have been working for. And I bet you his video was amazing. But there's this certain school of thought, if you're a videographer, that the camera has to move all the time. Like, sure, some movement is good, right? But not if that's your main goal. Like, just imagine a shot of a bride standing in the beautiful light, she's putting on an earring or whatever. There are moments like that you shouldn't have a gimbal and you're going around like this. Like, just take your shot. If you wanted to add energy and add movement, you do it in the edit. And if you wanted to take that a step further, you could stand back, you get like a wide shot, full dress, come in a bit closer, we'll press stop first, come in a bit closer, get a more close-up shot, like a mid there. And the the energy comes from, well, if you're a photographer, you might go handheld. Not crazy. Turn on IBIS or have active stave on. The energy will come from a bit of that organic movement plus your edit and plus a bit of music, and it'll be fire. So I'm thinking, back to this poor photographer, I bet you his video was amazing, but now he's going to go off thinking, okay, yeah, there's a few things to learn before I become a videographer. And I had to tell him, like, man, there are lots of people on the internet, and there's a certain school of thought, and they're the same people who scream about you about has to be the 180-degree shutter rule and stuff like that. And they're really dominant. They are about 90% of people out there filming is that guy. It has to move, oh, look at this and that. And if you watch a few YouTubers out there, one's really fascinating. He's called Every Frame a Painting. And that's exactly how I think. He's covered that. It's don't have unnecessary movement. Although movement can spice up a boring shot, don't have movement for no reason at all. What did he call it? Well, it's driven. It's inspired by what's happening in front of the camera. It's not movement first and then there's an otherwise boring shot. You shouldn't be thinking, oh, how do I make this boring shot not boring? Especially if it's a movie, then don't have that shot. That should be like a warning sign. This shot sucks so much. How can I make it exciting? Oh, I know. I'll start panning around the person. There are times, motivated movement, sorry. I think I'm a little bit less witty today because I'm aware that I'm on live. Motivated and inspired movement. If you want to get inside the character's head, you want to isolate him a little bit, maybe you could, go a bit lower, look up, do the Michael Bay, and as you spin around him, that could, parallel him in the world, and the world is spinning around, and things are happening to him and around him rather than him affecting the world now. You could, have those analogies. But I guess we're talking about wedding videos here. Only have motivated movement. Now, I'm a videographer. I will have my gimbal, and there are times when I definitely need movement, like walking down an aisle, getting a group of people to walk towards me. Any crazy wedding, any big culture, high context weddings with like drumming and stuff like that, dancing, gimbal would be great. But it's not impossible to do this handheld now, although I rarely do it. I'm handheld mainly on the dance floor now. So there, yeah, like I said, there's a dominant narrative and people are actually listening to this. So we have awesome potential videographers, and they'll be photographers. They'll have like 10 years experience. I would be amazing. Their composition will be amazing, but they're scared off video. So, and this guy wasn't the only guy. I want to bring this up because this is, I think, like the third time I've had this experience. There was another guy, and he just said, no, I'm not going to do video. And I said, oh, why? Like a photographer, sorry, at a wedding. And he just went on about, well, it's all different. You have to be at, 1 on 50. Well, 1 on 50 here. It's in Australia, it's PAL. And the shutter rule and that, and then I have to go get a gimbal. And once again, I said, look, man, you can just imagine yourself still being a photographer. You're still getting all the beautiful composition, and you might be on 1 on 3,000 shutter speed. And I said, the clients don't know. Most people don't even know, especially if it's a locked off shot. I said, imagine if you were a photographer, instead of hitting, the shutter for a photo, you hit record and you're doing like these 10-second, 30-second snippets, and then you edit that with your beautiful photography eye and all your experience. Like, that's a vibe. Stick a bit of music on there. Obviously have it on tripods for the ceremony. and you've got yourself a video. And if you start worrying about NDs and, there's all these barriers to entry, I mean, yes, for dedicated film work, yes. But there's a point I want to make. I get comments sometimes going, yeah, but that's lazy. You've got this expensive camera and you're not getting the most out of it. And I'm like, but is it? Is it really? This A7 IV, A7S3, if you film in standard modes like a photographer, it's still going to be the best standard mode right out of that you've ever seen. This is not a waste of money. This is saving time on the edit. You get your dynamic range, you can lower it in lower contrast or whatever. You can choose your shots. If the bride is in front of the window, just expose for her. You tell the audience what they want to see. You don't have to have massive dynamic range. Capture what's outside the window, capture her, blah, 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 all that stuff. My GPS is turned off. So if you've just jumped on, I'm just talking about if you're a photographer and you're filming for the first time. Don't listen to the mob. Do your thing. It'll be beautiful. It'll be a vibe. Now, and if I think of more things, I'll come back to that. So there's like, do you have to have ND filters? Do you have to always be on 180 shutter rule? And the answer is no. And it'll shock a lot of people. And that's the point of me wanting to do this little live vlog rant. If you're a photographer, just try it. Try it without NDs. Even try it without gimbals, but then lock off your ceremony. You will have an awesome wedding video. All right, now, turn it back the other way. If you are a wedding videographer like me and you're doing photos for the first time, well, I have done a couple of weddings now as a photographer, and I've been doing this for 9 years actually, so I thought it would be easy, and it actually is. It's more a mental thing. So, yeah, I've done about 3 or 4 full weddings now as a photographer, and my tip, if you're in my shoes and you're doing videography mainly, and you're switching to photo, is keep it simple and just be confident that you have it. Don't overthink it. So one of the main we have to shift mindset is, again, the speed. A videographer can film on 1:50, but to capture motion, you have to be on 160, 1:200 minimum, right? So that does make you have to shift your thinking a little bit. With the experience I had in weddings, I thought it was fine directing people. That was all good. But I think next time I do a ceremony and I'm doing photography, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to use 24-105, and you kind of want to be stopped down for ceremonies anyway. You don't want to miss any action. I actually did the last wedding with, my leather straps, dual camera, 35 on one, 85 on the other. And then I switched to the 135, and that was cool and all. And the shots I got were nice, but it was expensive missing some shots. So I would recommend, well, for myself, I'm going to shoot the next wedding, I reckon, just with one body, even at 24-105, and then for sexy photo shoots, switch back to my primes. Or, if I can, I'm renting so much, it's costing me so much money, I will get the 35 to 150 Tamron, and I will shoot weddings like that. And if you have one body, you can just immerse yourself. You can get the best out of, you won't miss anything. You won't be like worrying about 2 cameras. So this is just for me, for the ceremony. I'll do that next time, stick to just one body. I did a wedding last week, and the photographer just had a Canon R5 and the 24-70, I think it was, or either that or the 28-70. And that's just beautiful. So she didn't have to worry about jumping from camera to camera, not missing anything. Not that she was everywhere either, but I just knew in a nice boutique wedding like that with about, 100 people max, that's all you need. She had a second body, I think, with an 85 on there, but I don't think it was necessary. So yeah, I will do the same, because last wedding, like I said, I shot with 35-85, and it's just, as a videographer, and this is the main point, and then I won't actually talk for much longer. So next time as a videographer at a wedding, I'm going to tell myself to slow down, because video is always moving, right? But a photo, you want that perfect moment to be captured. You don't want any motion blur, you don't want any funny faces, you want to time it right, but at the same time you're following action. So when I had my double straps, I was like, yeah, capture it on wide, 35, beautiful. Now zoom into 85. I really thought I had it in the bag, but there's a few things that I'm gonna check, and one is camera shake. So if you're grabbing the camera off the side like that and just whipping it up, taking the shot, got to slow down now. I think about 1 in 20 of my shots had a bit of camera shake, even though the shutter speed would have been 1 on 1,000 or more, because it's like, an outdoor wedding. There's still some minor, very subtle camera shake. So I've got to slow down, put it up to my eye. This is for me, if you're a photographer already, you're probably already used to like giving yourself that moment and letting it capture without being disturbed. I will do it that way, slow down, and go even one more step better than that is use a 24-105 or a 35-150 and don't change bodies at all. Get all my shots, capture the action, but also don't rush and take my time. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. My GPS is turned off, so I'm flying blind in the rain. Today's wedding is at a Botanic Gardens as well. I hope they have a rain contingency. It's brutal. This is day 1 of 3 brutal rainy weddings. So I'll leave this up. I don't think I articulated those points very well, so I can have this as a practice run. I'll leave it up for a little while. Not too embarrassed to leave it up. And then I'll make a proper video about this later. But anyway, I hope this worked, because like I said, I'm driving through a massive rainstorm and I'm driving through cells. And I will see you very soon. We will do a re-edit, I think. We'll talk about this again properly on Monday, Tuesday, and we'll have it up. And I'll put some examples of what I'm talking about. The A7 IV is the camera that I used, and I did notice there was a little bit of camera shake, so I have to slow down from that perspective. And photographers, if you are doing video, yeah, just don't listen to the mob. Unless you really want to. Unless you want to go the whole 9 yards and gimbal out and all that. Anyway, that's enough for today's video. I don't want to crash. I'll talk to you guys soon. All right, see ya. Bye.